Hello, here we are at Enneagram type 7, the Optimister, the Enthusiast, sometimes called Epicures. They are the fun types, and they love to have fun. In their childhood, they believe that you must stay upbeat and keep your possibilities open to assure a good life. So they seek pleasurable options, are optimistic and adventurous, but they also avoid pain and can be uncommitted and sometimes unreliable. So they are a fun type. They bring life and positiveness. They spin everything into a positive perspective, which can be very upbeat, but sometimes they do everything they can to avoid pain or challenging situations or serious situations. They are well loved. They bring that energy, woohoo, life's an adventure. Let's go do this. They're always off doing something. They're doing this and they're doing that. They are on every email list for whatever cruise or cheap flights, vacations show up. And I have a friend who she's on all these. She was constantly, well, it's only $1,000. She'd say to her partner, let's go do these. Let's do that. But $1,000 added up a lot. And if you're in relationship with enthusiast or an optimister, sometimes it can feel like they're the kite in the sky and you're the one that's hanging on to the ropes and you got your feet dug in the sand and you're trying to keep them grounded. There are positives, they're really they're fun. The challenges that I've heard feedback from in relationships are they're constantly changing things, sometimes not sticking with things. So they might have a plate turning, they've got a project, it's like turning a plate on a stick. They got this going and then they got this going and, well, that looks good. And they put up another one and shiny object syndrome, they're over here. And then the plates start crashing over here. So the challenges for the 7 is to accept that life isn't always positive, to accept the pain, that there is growth through pain, and that life needs to be balanced. You need both the positive and the challenges of the when it's not so positive, and how to handle that more effectively. I coached a couple, and she found her 7 husband. The challenges she found with her husband was that didn't want to ever stick to anything. They had many businesses, they had many projects, and it was, if they had stayed longer, maybe in some of these, they could have had more momentum and built more things. So to keep him focused and on one project has been a challenge. The other thing about 7s, they often have many careers. The new, the interesting is what makes them keep going and jump from one thing to the other. In my trainings, some of the 7s told me that it gets exhausting. This wiring, this pattern that they have, these unconscious beliefs and patterns that are running them, can be extremely exhausting, as their life has always seemed to be in fast forward, in high energy, and they can often burn out, and then they don't know how to deal with that, because that's not the positiveness of life. But they're fun. They show, they're invited to a party. Yep, I'm coming. And the funny thing is, people wait for them to come, because the party generally starts when they do come. And so they may show up late and people don't hold them accountable because they did show up. Or if they don't show up, they'll tell you a funny story of why they didn't show up, which we get enrolled in not holding them accountable, right? We all have our work to do. We all have our internal work to do and challenges. And when you put any 2 personality types together, that's why, in my coaching, I can give the traits of each of the personality types and give them a picture of each other and your impact on each other and what the patterns are. And so you can start working together. Maybe you agree that you have a sign that when one of you is going into your patterns, you know, if I'm a supporter and I'm being over nurturing or caring or maybe needy, my partner can go, hey, you know, they can just wave. They don't even have to say anything. Or they can go, hey, honey, I can see you're going into your stress pattern. How can I support you? And that's the other cool thing, is identifying the stress patterns of each of the personality types. And how, as a partner, you can see those patterns, you can see the red flags, and you can go and start supporting your partner and saying, I see you're stressed by the pattern you're in right now. How can I support you? What can I do to help you with this? I love you. I value you for whatever your personality traits are. You can list those. Let's work together on this. Let's come together instead of your two personalities banging up against each other. 2/3 of what couples fight about are individual personality perspective differences, and are generally irreconcilable in a lot of cases unless they understand their Enneagram. And that's the hope of it. Whether it's a boss, boss, employee, coworker, siblings, family members, it doesn't matter. You take your type with you and your patterns. Christmas dinners, I often put out a Christmas cartoon, if you follow me on Facebook, about how the 9 types are sitting around the dining room table and how they're reacting differently, and how we can accept all of that. Sometimes at Christmas time, there's a lot of challenges or funerals or family gatherings where these personality issues come up. What I find fascinating is that you can get together with your siblings and you can say, remember that incident back when mom and dad, blah, blah, blah. And one person will remember it this way, and another way, and another way. It's their interpretation from their personality. And isn't that a scientific experiment? That same parents, same environment, but many different perspectives. That's why it's interesting. Sometimes you have similar personalities in the same family, and sometimes you don't. So I've been talking too much doing these videos, so my throat is getting ticklish. I really, really encourage you to do some Enneagram work. It is fascinating work. It is positive work. The basis is compassion for yourself. Understand yourself. And for me, it has been absolutely life-changing. It's given me my confidence, my foundation, and brought me to a life where I thrive. So next video will be the 8 assertive. Thanks for joining me.